From the trailer and screenshots, it turned out that players do not understand that it is a side view and do not understand what the game is about. However, we have the best retention rates and a median time of more than 1 hour. That is, on average, players spend more than 1 hour playing our game. These are the best figures in all 13 years. How do we analyze all this? How do we form hypotheses? Today's episode is about all of this. Hello, you are on the ERZ Online channel and I am the author and developer of this universe. My name is Sergey Miechin. And here I talk about how we work, how we develop our game, and how we manage to make our MMO better and better. Let's go. We launched a playtest on Steam. The goal of the beta test is to find errors in the large system. The goal of the playtest we had was to understand how the gaming experience is structured, how players play the game. That's exactly what we wanted to do. And we looked at our game from different angles. We had different methods for gathering feedback. The best, most qualitative and coolest method is reviews. That is, everyone who completed the playtest, when they closed the game or received an invitation, please fill out the survey and tell us what you think. Now, about 1/3 of the players submitted surveys. These are quite high numbers. That's really great. You truly told us how the game is played. This is super useful feedback. For about a week, I read all the reviews, all the surveys, the ratings, analyzed it, and it gave me a big shift in the vision of this game. But look, surveys are only filled out by those who liked the game, who played for a long time, and who have the motivation to share their thoughts. But there are players who tried for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes and realized that it's not for them at all, or encountered some issues and closed the game. They are no less important to us, and we analyze them using a different methodology. In our game, there are events that occur, and these events are sent to the analytics server. They are collected there, and various funnels and graphs are built. And from this, we get a clearer picture of what happens with a person in the first minutes, the first hour of the game, when they might quit, leave, and not even say what they liked or disliked. And you know, in the year 2012, I made a game by intuition. I just personally liked this game, and I was making it sort of for myself. I didn't need analytics, but a lot of time has passed, and honestly, my tastes have become specific, probably like any game designer. I love all sorts of weird stuff, and that's why I can't write a game for myself anymore. It would turn out to be a very niche, very strange kind of game. Therefore, and other people use analytics to better understand how players play the game. Especially since it's the industry standard, we go to any publisher, and they ask, what are your metrics? Is analytics integrated? This is literally the first question that helps to understand which game studio you're dealing with, professionals or those guys who decided to put something together on a whim. I thought that the user interface and visuals were already fully developed, but it turned out to be the opposite. They are precisely what prevent understanding what the game is about and how to play it more quickly, and they reduce the appeal of our game. Now, let's talk about the tools. So, as I already mentioned, first there are surveys using Google Forms. A bunch of questions, players answer them. There are surveys in Russian and there are surveys in English. By the way, we have many wish lists, currently about 1,000. Many questionnaires are specifically in English. That is from people who have never seen our game before. Let me remind you, it used to be only in Russian, and this is super important information, because it's one thing to ask a person who has already played our game and another to ask someone who is seeing it for the first time. The second is the analytics system. We use PostHog. It's a very cool solution. Why? Because first of all, it's a super flexible system. You can use built-in tools, you can write SQL queries, some very complex ones. In general, it's a fully customizable thing, and most importantly, if we grow, when we grow, we will be able to transfer all this to what is called self-hosted, right? That means the analytics system will be running on our server because it's an open source solution, and that's very convenient. Next, we recorded video playtests. We asked our acquaintances and others to record how they play the game. And this is, so to speak, a recording of the first impression of the game. From the first person. A person plays, comments on something, says something. It's a super experience that helped us. And finally, Reddit, we made threads about how screenshots are perceived, how trailers are perceived, because there are people who drop off at the very first stage when they haven't seen the game yet and don't want to play it. Why? This is important. And this is also a super important analytical tool that helped us piece the whole picture together. Let's move on to the data. What did the data show? We have a basic funnel. Let me break it down for you now. So 100% of players open the game. Next, 96% complete the control tutorial, 70% completed training on all mechanics, how to craft, how to dress, how to upgrade in the storage, and so on. Then 50% played for 1 hour. We have many such funnels, but this is the most basic one, which explains how the game is currently structured, how people enter it. Are these data good? Well, let's analyze. The fact that 96% completed the control tutorial is normal. It's a good result for the industry. Everything is okay. 70% completed the mechanics training. This is bad because for our genre, we need at least 85%. There's a problem here that needs fixing. Next, 44% returned in the following days. That's it. In fact, if we look at retention, what is retention? It is the number of people who return. So on the first day they installed the game, on the second day they return. Here, 1,000 people installed it. 440 came back at least on the second or next day. This is called retention. There is cumulative retention. That is, when I say I look at the first and next, any of the following days, the figure will be higher. And there is exact retention when I look only at the second day. For example, a person installed the game, did not play on the second day, but came on the third day, they would not be counted in such exact retention. There are also old players, like Russian-speaking ones, and new players, North America, English-speaking. So, if we narrow our sample to English-speaking players in North America and count only the second day, we get a much weaker figure, 26%. It's not catastrophic. I remind you, in previous minds, this figure was 10%, and it was terrible. All the publishers told us, abandon this game. This is a poor indicator. You probably won't do anything with it. Now we already have 26% and we didn't really push it that much. So overall, how to say it's not a catastrophic indicator, but it's on the edge of survival. I think that we can certainly increase it to 30, 40. Played for 1 hour, 50%. Is this good or bad? If we had some casual game, it would be a super huge amount of time. However, for our genres, this is an MMO. A sandbox, 50% for the first hour is likely the lower limit. Ideally, it should be increased to 1.5 to 2 hours. The last figure suggests that after 3 hours, the person changed the robot. That's very bad. We made a mistake in our calculations. When we were making our tables and estimating how a person would level up, we assumed it would take 55 minutes, I think, for the second bot to unlock. But in practice, it turned out to be more than 3 hours. So some calculations from our heads don't match what happens in practice. And we will, of course, fix this. But there are many interesting things that don't have answers just from the numbers. For example, in our training, 15% of players got lost on big tasks like go mine this mineral, go there to mine another mineral. A lot of people disappeared somewhere there. And we tried to understand how it happens, what exactly the people do not return. The second mysterious moment is that people could not figure out for a long time where the craft button is located. Even though we have a blinking icon, we have a panel with the word craft written on it, it was not obvious to people. And the third mystery, which was just interesting, players that they completed the basic training moved on to the second training area. On the right at the beginning there was a task. Enter the dock and press the E button to go inside. And many people struggled with this. Not a catastrophic. Yes, value will, in my opinion, about 3 to 4%, well, not proportional to the complexity of this stage. And such puzzles arise. Various hypotheses about why it turned out that way there. However, it's important to understand that we can somehow figure it out. But the biggest, perhaps not a mystery, but a disappointment awaited us, of course, before this whole funnel, when we started checking how our game is perceived, how screenshots and videos are generally perceived. We saw that people somehow don't understand what's happening. Let me read a comment that personally shocked me. It only dawned on me in the 20th minute of the game that I was looking at everything from the side, like in Terraria. So, the person played for 20 minutes, saw this base, saw the surface, but somehow only realized in the 20th minute of the game that it's a side view. This means that something is definitely not working. Maybe others caught on faster, but the very existence of such a comment tells us that there's something wrong with the visual presentation. Now let's move on to the solutions. How do we solve these puzzles? Here, the connection is important. Analytical tools are good, but there should be auxiliary tools for gameplay analysis to solve these puzzles. And we have surveys, we have recordings of how people play, and all of this, well, and of course discussions on Discord, all of this gives us an idea of why something isn't working. So why were we losing 15% on mining expeditions? It turns out that the energy mechanic, very stifling, let's say, right? It demotivates a person, it runs out quickly, your HP starts to decrease, and you just explode, and this happens literally in the first minutes of the game. It's a terrible experience, and we will avoid it. It was wrong. And that's exactly why people leave these stages, these large mineral expeditions. Crafting was not visible precisely because there are so many interface elements. They take up such a large area that it's hard to pinpoint anything. And so much of everything, you know. The interface as a whole is overloaded, and that's the basic reason why some things are not quickly guessed by people. Finally, the third story is about why a person didn't enter this dock. And here an interesting aspect was revealed to us, one we hadn't even considered. Talking with a friend, I realized that at this point in the game, after completing the tutorial, I understood that yes, I know how to play, I can move, I can reach the point, and I can use the map. If they switch him to some other mode, and here it's like a small pause, okay? For a person, it's an opportunity to think, okay, where am I? What am I doing? What am I doing in this game? Why should I play it? And the person had no answers to these questions. That is, he had no context. Who he is, how he is, why he is here, and why he should continue playing at all. The fact that he was not connected to the game in any meaningful way greatly affected the conversion at these key points. Now, let's draw conclusions and make decisions. Look, we have a small team, limited resources, and even less time. We can't make great progress in all directions, so we need to choose. What did the funnel show? What did this whole story reveal? Let's look at our funnel again. Look, its middle part seems not bad, but the story is very failing up to this 100% mark. Here, because we have screenshots, trailers, and game descriptions, it's absolutely unclear, and people don't get into the game. People are not interested in the game. That's a big problem here. Next, the problem I just mentioned is that a person doesn't understand who they are and where they are. We lack narrative and, narrative, contextual, and emotional design. That is, we need to let the person play a little. Imagine that they are the operator of these robots, that they are on some distant planet, that they have arrived there, and they are in some context not just opened an abstract mathematical game with abstract mechanics. And finally, the third weak point is, that the game is unfinished. We don't have systemic mechanics that keep us all here for long hours. Therefore, 3 directions can be highlighted. The first I would call marketability. Yes, there is such an English word. It translates to market attractiveness. This is about screenshots, about visuals. The second is engagement, meaning involvement. It is necessary to immerse the person more emotionally and meaningfully into what they are, where they are, and why they are there. And finally, the third aspect is system design, meaning base systems, zone systems, large map systems, so that all of this interacts, is lively, events occur, mobs behave interestingly. That's the third side. Therefore, by the end of this year and in this big direction, which is called V5, right? The fifth version of the game. We are moving in these three directions with all our steps. Make the game more attractive, make the game more engaging, and make the game more stable over time so that it has an interesting economy, an interesting world, and interesting dynamics. Without analytics, I repeat, we would have gone in the wrong direction. We would have just continued adding features. Thank God we gathered this great feedback, including with your help. And for that, thank you very much. Our new method made us look at all aspects of the game, including the interface, what came out of it, and what our new approach is. All about this in our next release this Friday. Write in the comments which metrics, if you are suddenly involved in game design, if you are suddenly developing games or have heard anything about it, write which metrics you consider the most important for analytics. I'm curious if you are in the context or not. Maybe you work in a different field, but let's talk about it. And subscribe, yes, so you don't miss the UI analysis. It will be really interesting and cool. Bye!